Good morning. This is how to double your salary, part 24, chapter 7, the dilemmas. In part 23, we discussed about the dilemmas about whether it should be salary or self-employment. Today we'll discuss about the free will or God's will. Is it chance or choice? I woke up one day wondering, was it to my credit or God's grace for whatever I achieved in this life? We all have dilemmas in our life. Some of them are choice A or choice B. Some of them are dilemmas like, should we take this path or that path? Some are tough decisions or tougher questions. Free will or God's will. For generations, people discussed about this. As I mentioned in one of the things in the first chapter about the atheist and theist. Nothing works without a proper plan and efforts as per an atheist, while nothing happens without God's grace as per the theist. This is the quotation by Vivekananda. I think the first part 1, started with that quote. Why I am giving that quote is that that's what is discussed here. Free will or God's will. These are eternal dilemmas. Since the humanity started their serious thinking, half of them went by the free will and then the remaining half went by God's will. I will not say God's grace is great or man's effort is great. I would say both are required. Man doesn't exist without God, and God is not God, but if he is alone without the man and nobody to worship him. It is like a boss without a staff or a guru without disciples. The word God existed because man existed. Now I will narrate few incidents in my life without which the story doesn't exist. You may say it is the script of my life story. Though we all write our own story before we came to this planet, we need help or advice of God to complete it. He is the director in my opinion, and we are all actors. All actors have to act well, and situation or timing is crucial for the drama. Chance or choice. Let us start from my class 1. How did I go to class 2 and studied there for 3 months without knowledge of my father or even for that matter school authorities? Without objection from anyone, how was it possible for me to jump to class 2, which is called double promotion in today's terms? You may call it chance, but I call it destiny. Also, you got to remember, when I went to the school, my age was 5. And at 5, you are not even eligible to enter the class 1. And you had to wait till you are 6-year-old. But then I went to the school at 5 years age. And that too, instead of studying class 1, I went to class 2. So, what happened? With that, I was in 2nd standard at the age of 5. And how does it affect you? I will tell you that. When I was in 10th class, so there was a circular came to my headmaster, and headmaster called my father, and I did not know what was the story, and the headmaster was very serious, and he looked at me and he said, be prepared if you may not be sitting for your 10th class exams. So normally those days when you have committed any bigger mistake or mischief, then it's common for you to be debarred or withheld for the exam, or not allowed to write the exams. So to tell you frankly, I was the class topper, but at the same time, the mischiefs I used to do were no less. So whenever my father, used to visit the college, the school, our headmaster, Mr. Israel, used to, tell him, I don't have any doubt in my mind that your son is the brightest boy, but also the most mischievous. And my father never told this to me or my mother. He always said that this your son is the school first or class first, something like that. But I knew I was not a quiet student. So when the headmaster Israel, it was a Salvation Army high school, and then obviously the names of those headmasters will be something like Israel, Dayashilam, Prabhu, something like that. So he told me, you let's call your father. So I am absolutely sure that there must be something about complaining against me. So when my father came to the school, then he was put forward with the problem. What was the problem? He said, your son was 13 years and 5 months old. How can he appear the examination? Forget about passing and going to the next this thing. So what does it make? So Israel made a small calculation. He said, your son must be at 3.5 years studying the first class. Then my father laughed and said, this is how the whole thing happened when he was 5-year-old. We were, struggled to keep him at home. So we sent him to school. He was to go to the first standard. As he was studying, along with his elder brother, he could, easily complete his first year subject. So they thought he is already done first class and first standard, and then put him in second standard. That's how the whole thing is there. Now, it's actually a embarrassment for even the headmaster also to tell him that in his own school, a student passed out 8th, 9th, and almost entered 10th with, before writing exams, that he was class first all the time, and he could be denied appearing for the exam. So he suggested that you go to the Guntur, the district, education officer, DEO, and get from him a letter saying that your son is physically and medically fit. Then only he will be allowed to appear for the exam. So my father went to, of course he was an English professor, so he knows he is in the academic session. So he went to the district headquarters and then convinced them that this boy is the class first for all these years. So I mean, it's inhuman to stop him from appearing in the exam. He said, yeah, of course, but at those days, in those days in India, the date of birth certificates were not very, popular, or till 1960, I would say that, not many people were taking the date of birth certificates, but they were giving, as per their memory. So, in fact, most of my classmates, they were given 1 or 2 years additional, years. So it is not uncommon to, for the parents to tell that their son's birthday or daughter's birthday was not the real one, but an official one, And as you know, the 10th class, they used to maintain a register. In the register, my date of birth was already fixed, and then, for the last 3 years, it's going on. So, and then there were a couple of guys like me in probably in the state who were underaged. So he gave a certificate saying that this so and so Balaramakrishna Rajsekhar is physically and mentally fit, and then he can go for the exam. And this haunted me even after my passed out my intermediate, because when I got a seat in REC, Regional Engineering College Warangal, now it is called NIIT, the professor who was friend of my father wrote to me saying that you tell your son to be prepared, because we don't admit students in engineering unless they are 16-year-old. So anyway, that was a little bit later. But my 10th class exams I could easily write, and then subsequently I stood first in my school also. And then later on we went to the college, and then I completed my intermediate. So what I wanted to say today is, this was nothing to do with my technical abilities or intelligence or hard work or anything. And how it happened that at the age of 5 entering into first standard, and then by mistake going into second standard, it was not my this thing. I would say it is a destiny. So this is the first thing which we called chance or choice. The subsequently, I think I shared with you one, when I almost got the job offer in Steel Authority of India Limited. I was about to get up from the interview, thanking the interview board. The chair was a little bit inside, nearer to the table, so I couldn't get up quickly. So I had to pull the chair backwards and then to get up, and that took a little bit of time. And then the interview board, one of the members was asking me, what were you doing? If you're doing MTech, then why don't you go for the oil field and then don't join the steel plant? That's how I felt I lost my job. But then as a hindsight, that what really helped me to go into oil industry in HPCL, and then oil industry salaries were high, and then I could go abroad and then try my chance. What really surprised me is that interview board member who stopped me or advised me not to join Steel Authority, at that time also he told me, I know you hate me for this kind of intervention, but one day you will thank me that you will be in the oil industry and then earning very good salaries. Now this happened in 78. Now how prophetically he was telling, I do not know, but if you call it a chance, or if you call it choice, I would say definitely it was not my chance. It is my choice. It is a chance. Without going into some more details about the chance and choice, then I will tell about my friend Prasad, who was actually instrumental in persuading me to join HPCL, because I was getting a higher salary than HPCL or Hindustan Petroleum Corporation. So, but then, going into lower salary there, it was not advisable for me. But he somehow convinced me and took my application, and I got a job and then joined. Of course, then my family, my mother is responsible for me to take up the job, because she told me they're giving you the quarters or the housing, which would help me, to get married or something like that. So these three incidents, getting into a double promotion at the age of 5 and joining second standard, and not getting a job in HPCL, the Steel Authority, and then joining oil industry. Third one is joining HPCL. These two I do not, they are not my choice, so they are the chance. And another thing I would just say is, one of my wife's friend, Mrs. Gauri, she asked me to apply for the government of Bahrain, an advisory post, and I was not very keen, because I was already getting higher, better salary in BAPCO, and it so happened that I applied and then I got the offer, and then I just forgot about it and went back to India to be with my mother, because at that time my father expired. When I applied or when I got the offer, I never had any idea that I would join that place. But then, after 6 months, so I came there, and this again I would say is not my choice. Okay, it's not a coincidence, but I call it a providence. If you say all these incidents are coincidental, wait till the next anecdote which I am going to talk about it. I still recall there used to be one signboard in my office room in Exxon, where erstwhile Exxon, which was an American company, which was later on taken by the government of India and made, named HPCL. So the signboard used to read, we'll do the miracle today and wait for the impossible for tomorrow. I always, remember this sign, the saying that, oh, today I have to do miracle, and tomorrow I have to do impossible. So everybody who was there in Bombay office, probably, still the sticker must be there. So the two miracles happened in my career, which I'm going to share now with you. Okay, let me first share first miracle, okay, and then probably look for the second one, okay. What was the this one? There would be a stage in everyone's life that we do everything we can do, and then feel that the success is far away. When we are about to give up, we turn to God, our Guru, and ask for His help. Suddenly everything looks clear and we see a different world. Those who have been saying no will turn around and say yes, or a new path will appear. A similar situation occurred in my life after first 10 years of my career. Suddenly all doors appeared to have closed. I found none of the big companies in India offered better salaries than HPCL. And then I was to go abroad, but then I never tried anything in the foreign oil companies. And which are the 3-4 offers I got? One from Singapore and Tata Projects, and other from an American company which I rejected because they offered me a 4-man job. And third one is from Bapco Refinery, which I got an offer. But then, I was not decided whether to go or not, because earlier a similar offer from KNPC, the Kuwait National Petroleum Corporation, I got it, and my mother, objected to it. And this is the situation. So there was no job in India which I will like, which will get me double the salary, and the foreign jobs which I was to get, some of them I got it, I rejected them, or maybe my mother didn't like. And at this point of time, I have attended an interview, and before I attended the interview, I just praying to my guru called Mahavatar Babaji, please, help me to get it. And how the interview went, the gentleman, Arnold Judges, he is, he's an American, of course. He went to Tokyo or somewhere, Singapore, I think, and then on the way to Houston, he stopped at Bombay, and there is no way he would, interview anybody. But then, I got a call from Verma, who was, I mentioned as a job agent, because he knew earlier I was rejecting several offers. One day he got angry and then, asking me, I'm giving you the jobs and you are not taking. What should I, are you really interested? Then I also got a little mad, and then I took about a dozen of my books, were my technical journals where I published them, and then went to him and then showed him, see this book, this is published by Tata McGraw-Hill, and then they quoted my name in this. And at the age of 35, a Tata McGraw-Hill book quoting your name is not a joke, I told him. And then I showed him the articles which I published in the international journals, and I told him that if you can have a best company, best salary, and best designation, then only call me, I said. So that was the thing, the best company, Shell International, best job, as I was taken in almost like middle management, one less than the top position, that is, in engineering, this thing called staff engineer, senior staff engineer. And of course, the salary, I don't have to talk to you, that it was 10, 11 times more than what I was getting in HPCL. So how the interview went on, that is what the miracle. Every question I was telling judges were, not becoming of an interviewee. First thing I told him that I'm from a refinery and your company is petrochemical. I'm not sure whether you should take me. Then he said, no, refineries and petrochemical are similar, and we have a chemical, we got an ethylene plant wherein we have refinery, something like, heaters, where you have published a paper and published the porous coke theory. So, its coking is same in both the refineries, both the furnaces. And probably he must have read my article in that porous coke theory, which is published in Hydrocarbon Processing. In fact, in any interview, you would be that saying that I am, confident that I can do this job, and the interviewer, questioning whether are you sure. Instead, here it is opposite. When I was saying I'm not sure, and then he was telling he was sure. Then the next question, was about, so many other things were there. Finally, he told me, I'm going to offer you, send an offer letter on Sunday. I was just blurted out, Sunday I thought is not working day for you. Then he said, I'll work for you on Sunday because I want you to join there. Then itself I told him that because you wanted to work on a Sunday to post my offer letter, then I would work instead of 5 days, I'll work on every 6th day also. And I kept my word for 5 years. I worked on the 6th day of the work, and then one day he came to me, just because you said one day, you have been doing it last so many years. So I said yes. After I resigned from Shell International, in fact the same gentleman asked me, the way you are working on the shutdown and in this extra hours, and I thought you have withdrew your resignation letter. I said no. I still recall the day when I got the job, and you are in my good books, and then I want to leave this company in your good books, I said. So what I'm telling is that the interview which took place was a reverse interview, and I can't say that I got it because I prayed to Mahavatar Baba about it, and 45 minutes interview took place. It was the hawkish interviewee and a benevolent and kind interviewer, which is actually opposite of what you expect in interviews. And that was the most controversial interview I attended and the best interview I attended. So I give credit to Mahavatar Babaji for it. Though I had qualifications, but I didn't have the right frame of mind to accept that job. And that's how I say it is a more of a chance than of a choice. So with this, we'll close this part today, and we will go to the next part about the miracle. As I said, today we'll do the miracle, and tomorrow we'll do the impossible. Then in the next episode we'll talk about the miracle which happened, and that is much more, I would say, interesting. Wait for that. About the date, you remember, that was 23rd November 1998, and that's what the miracle happened that day. Okay, I'll sign off today. Rajsekhar Polapragada, the author of this book, How to Double Your Salary. It's a volume 1 of twin series, How to Double Your Money for Employees and Employers, and it's available on Amazon.com. Thank you. Bye.